Enterprises are mad as hell at cloud providers, and they're not going to take it anymore. Let's talk about that. Welcome to the Cloud Computing Insider. This channel explores the ins and outs of cloud computing without an agenda or following into the narrative set by big tech marketing. We look at what works and what does not, and the actual value of this technology in a balanced and information-forward way. If that interests you, please subscribe, like, and comment. I'm your host, David Linthicum, author, speaker, B-list geek. Let's get started. So thanks for joining me. As you know, something interesting is happening in the enterprise cloud space lately, and I wanted to talk about it. There is a growing frustration with cloud service providers, AWS, Google Cloud, and Azure, Microsoft Azure in the worlds, and it's quite different for how things were just a few years ago. Indeed, my videos that talk about pushing back on cloud providers, such as repatriation videos that can be found above, are the most popular videos by far. This is strange for a cloud computing YouTube channel where we would think that most of the attitudes are cloud positive, but we certainly are taking a more balanced approach here and following the evidence. This, with many billions of dollars in cloud marketing spending out there, is promoting cloud computing. So the core question I have is, why is this happening? So remember when cloud was seen as the answer to everything? The promise was amazing, infinite scalability, lower cost, cutting-edge innovation at your fingertips. But lately, I'm hearing a different story from enterprise leaders, and the data backs it up. The biggest complaints: cost and control. Companies are consistently blowing past their cloud budgets. We're talking about 81% of enterprises exceeding what they plan to spend. Those monthly cloud bills keep creeping up with all of the hidden costs like egress fees, scaling charges, and data transfer costs that nobody really planned for. And then there's the control issue. Once you're locked into a cloud provider's ecosystem, it's not exactly easy to pack it up and leave. Sure, they'll tell you about the flexibility you have, but try moving your workloads somewhere else, and suddenly you're facing a hefty fees and complex migration challenges. Let me share some concrete numbers that really show what's happening here. According to recent findings, the cloud market hit $545.8 billion in 2022, and it's expected to reach $1.24 trillion by 2027. That's massive growth, but here's where it gets interesting. Despite this growth, companies are seriously reconsidering their cloud strategies. In fact, over 90% of IT leaders say they're planning significant changes to their cloud approach over the next 2 years. Think about that. Nearly everyone is rethinking their cloud strategy. The cost concerns are real, according to recent data. 82% of companies are worried about managing their cloud spending. Also, it's not just about the total bill, it's about unexpected costs, complex pricing models, and the feeling of losing control over their IT spending. Here's another telling statistic. 69% of organizations have considered moving at least some of their workloads back from public clouds to private infrastructures or on-prem solutions. And of those who actually have done it, 80% say it resolved their main concern. The top reasons: data security and compliance requirements at 50%, better integration with existing systems at 48%, and cost savings at 44%. What's particularly fascinating is that only 16% of companies report having fully integrated cloud adoption into their business strategies. That's a surprisingly low numbers given how long the cloud has been around. Even among the most successful cloud adopters, what we call the cloud leaders, only 62% say their cloud environments exceed expectations. Looking at the AI angle, 84% of organizations are trying to integrate AI with their cloud strategies. The main drivers: 49% want to improve operational efficiency, while 45% want to enhance their data analytics capabilities. But here's the catch: 40% of the companies say they don't have enough skilled cloud professionals to make this happen, and 37% say they don't have a significant budget. You can find my references for this data points in the description below. These numbers tell us something. What's important is that cloud computing isn't going away. Enterprises are becoming much more strategic and selective about how they use it. They're moving away from the cloud first mentality toward what I'd call cloud smart approach, where they're carefully evaluating each workload and making decisions based on their specific needs rather than just following the crowd to the cloud. See what I did there? You know what I find fascinating? At the same time, all of this frustration is building, these cloud providers are running these massive conferences such as AWS reInvent, Cloud, Google Cloud Next, and they pack thousands of people in there. But here's the thing, look closely at who's actually there. A lot of them are vendors networking with other vendors or companies trying to get closer to the cloud providers themselves. It's like this parallel universe where everything is amazing and innovative, where they're back in the real world. Enterprises are struggling with their cloud relationships. We're starting to see some interesting trends because of all this. Companies are actually moving some workloads back to their own data centers, as I mentioned earlier. It's called repatriation. The numbers are pretty striking. Again, about 80% of the enterprises are at least thinking about bringing some workloads back in-house. And with new technologies like generative AI coming into play, many companies are taking a hard look at whether running these compute-intensive workloads in the cloud even makes financial sense. Think about it. These AI models need massive computing power and storage. Some enterprises are starting to wonder if they're better off building their own AI infrastructure with high-end GPUs rather than paying cloud providers premium rates. Looking ahead, I think we're going to see some big changes in how enterprises approach cloud services. They're going to be a lot more selective about what goes into the cloud and what stays on premises, they're going to push back harder on contracts and pricing, and they're definitely going to look beyond just the big cloud providers for their innovation needs. So don't get me wrong, cloud computing isn't going anywhere. It's still incredibly valuable when used right. But the blind faith in cloud first strategies, those days are pretty much over. Enterprises are getting smarter about how they use cloud services, and they're demanding more from their providers. The really interesting part will be seeing how the cloud providers respond to all of this. Will they adapt their pricing models, offer more flexibility, make it even more workload friendly? More importantly, will they drop off bags of money to get me to shut up? Time will tell, but one thing for sure, the relationship between enterprises and cloud providers is changing, and it's fascinating to watch it unfold. So that's my take on what's happening in the enterprise cloud space right now. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Are you seeing similar frustrations in your organization? How are you handling them? Drop a comment below and let me know. Don't forget to like and subscribe and check out my other videos on this channel. Also, check out my InfoWorld Cloud Computing blog and my 100+ LinkedIn Learning courses. Of course, my Generative AI Architecture course out on Go Cloud Career. And finally, my latest book, An Insider's Guide to Cloud Computing. So until next time, you guys stay very safe. Later.